This is considered one of the most shocking cases in Polish history. On January 6, 1999, a sailor in Poland noticed something strange floating on the river. It was long and pale and it smelled very bad. And as he leaned in closer to get a better look, he saw an ear attached to it. Now, what I'm about to say next is very disturbing, so be warned. After the sailor found this substance, DNA testing then indicated it was the skin of a missing woman named Katarzyna Zawada. And whoever did this to her turned her skin into a suit and was likely wearing it.
Man on death row, and his story will make you cry. In 1936, a 23-year-old man was arrested for sleeping in an illegal area. But Joe was a mentally disabled homeless man, and he really didn't know what was going on. So he went with the officers anyway. But what Joe didn't know is that those officers are about to change his life forever. 12 days earlier, 2 twin girls were actually murdered by a guy with a hatchet. And since the officers had no idea who it was, they decided to pin the attack on Joe. And since Joe was mentally challenged, they made him confess to the crimes without actually knowing what he did. And the victims even said that Joe looked nothing like the man. But Joe ended up taking the fall for the crime that he didn't even commit. But on death row, Joe was extremely happy and every single person in there loved him. And right here you can see him giving away his trains right before he was executed. Joe requested ice cream for his last meal and his last words were, "No, Joe will not die."
That is messed up, man. I wonder how many cases throughout history, man, somebody had to just take the fall because law enforcement, something like that, they couldn't do their job, so they just pinned it on him. That's a messed up story, Seekers.
Crazy facts about cigarettes. 1 cigarette can reduce your lifespan up to 11 minutes. Out of 10 smokers, 9 started before age 18. A smoker's life expectancy is 10 years less than a non-smoker. When a cigarette is burned, 7,000 chemicals are activated. Nauru has the highest smoking rate at 52%.
If you see this in the ocean, walk away immediately. This is a whirlpool in the ocean, and they are one of the most scariest things that can happen in the ocean. Whirlpools are basically like inverse tornadoes, and they will suck you up in less than 17 seconds. Why do they happen? Well, whirlpools form when the currents of the ocean collide in opposite directions. The force of the 2 currents spiral down into the ocean, which forms the whirlpool. Here is a demonstration of what happens inside a whirlpool. As you can see, the toilet paper is rapidly pulled into the water from the whirlpool. If you're in a boat in the ocean and you see a large-scale whirlpool, it could pull your boat in and flip it over, and you will be pulled under the water where you will be stuck and likely drown. Although we think of whirlpools mostly being in the ocean, they can appear in any body of water. So next time you're out in water, be on the lookout for one of these, or it could cost you your life.
Okay. Updating our whirlpool knowledge.
Did you know that they might have just found one of the gates to hell? This is the deepest man-made hole on the planet. It goes 7.5 miles down and it took 19 years to dig. And many strange things have been discovered during the dig. But the craziest thing was when they lowered a microphone down the hole and they called this on audio. Many people think the hole penetrated one of the gates to hell and that's what allowed the screams of the dead to be heard. And what's super interesting about this video is so many people who have visions of hell say that they get taken into
The Words of Dying, Part 1. By number of people. Dog attack 1 in 86,781. Drowning 1 in 1,128. Falling over 1 in 106. Preventable causes of death 1 in 24. Cancer 1 in 7.
Man. That story about that hole, bro. We gotta be careful, man. It seems like it was deliberate. Like, why did they keep going deeper and deeper, man? We heard the audio too, so we just can't dismiss it. Something going on down there.
Creepiest urban legend from each country. Canada. Wendigo.
Oh.
England. Bloody Mary. Did you know that Cardi B said that her music activates demons? Watch this.
I didn't want to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill song, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons.
If you believe Jesus is more powerful than the devil, then type Jesus is Lord in the comments and subscribe for more. And watch the video that I pinned about Billie Eilish showing her demon.
Things are almost.
Hey man, we've been watching these clips together for a minute, so we know that some things be going down in the music industry, and this, I guess, that Hollywood side entertainment, man. So we know some things be going on, but she said it, bro. That they activating demons. I'm telling you, man, we gotta be careful what we listening to, see, cause we never know what type of energy we allowing into our lives. That don't even shock me no more, man.
What no humans can do, I'm not sure, and if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your thumb back onto your hand like that. Only 1% of humans can actually do this.
I can't do
Try
it.
this video if you can do it.
North Korea are actually doing it. Today, they have officially begun blowing up all roads and railways connecting them to South Korea. And this really marks a pretty substantial turning point, because for the longest time, reunification of the two countries has always been the stated goal for Kim Jong-un. But this year, everything changed. He changed the constitution to designate them as principal enemy. We obviously had their trash balloon wars. We saw that they started building a wall by the border. And now they're literally blowing up all inter-Korean roads and railways to completely separate the two countries.
Gruesome facts you didn't know.
That's insane.
In the year 2000, the Trapholt Museum in Denmark featured an art piece titled Helena and El Pescador. The art piece featured 10 functional blenders filled with goldfish, giving the visitors the gruesome option of turning them on. It was a battle of the viewer's own conscience, and at least one man turned on a blender, killing 2 of the fish. In 2007, a movie theater in the US accidentally screened The Hills Have Eyes 2 instead of The Last Mimsy. The opening scene horrifically shows a naked chained-up woman giving birth to a deformed baby. Children were traumatized and parents were offered free tickets as compensation. The Aldgate Pump in London was a long-time public watering hole that tapped into London's underground streams since the 1200s. In 1860, the water was noted as being bright, sparkling, and with a fine taste. Turned out that the taste was due to the underground stream running through several graveyards. The water had been collecting decaying organic matter and calcium from the bones of the dead. This resulted in the deaths of hundreds of people.
That story about the theaters playing that
3
scary
animals
movie.
you are glad are extinct,
Crazy.
and the last one, it will shock you. Number 1, the Titanoba. This massive snake gets up to 50 feet long and can weigh up to 2,500 pounds. During its time, it was the apex predator, and it would strangle every single one of the animals to death. Number 2, the Dena Schlosser. This mega crocodile can weigh up to 10,000 pounds, and it can get up to 39 feet long. T-Rex bones were found with bite marks from this animal, meaning often they would battle it out. But before I tell you the most terrifying one, if you want to get paid just for walking, I got you. Because this app pays you for every step you take, and I've already earned 100 today. So press right here and start earning. Number 3 is the Ratzilla. Based on the fossils that were found, they could get up to 10 feet long, and some of them were about the size of a bowl. And their teeth were up to 1 foot long. Can you imagine if one of these suckers bit you? Thankfully, all these animals went extinct a long time ago, but they're all super terrifying, so I'm happy.
Be thankful, man, for evolution sometimes, because those animals that
This
they
is the
exist
hotel
today.
room Liam was staying in when he fell from his balcony in a hotel in Buenos Aires. A hotel worker actually called police to tell them that someone was breaking everything in the room and that they were drunk and on drugs. When I tell you they said that the room was completely trashed, this is an example of what the room was filled with. This is one of the last photos they have of Liam before everything happened and he smashed his laptop in the hotel lobby. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention is that people are really pissed off right now because TMZ actually posted Liam's lifeless body on their social media and their website. Liam posted this Snapchat right before his death with his girlfriend, which people were a little confused because she's in this video, but in her TikTok video, she posts that she went back to Miami a day before he posted this. So people were just confused, like, was she there or was she not? But this was probably just an old video that he posted on that day. This is the TikTok video I'm talking about. Kate posted this 3 days ago and Liam passed away yesterday, so people were kind of confused how he posted a video on his Snapchat with her yesterday if she wasn't there. A new statement revealed that during his fall from a third floor balcony, his skull cracked, which actually caused his death. Liam has been pretty open about his struggles with addiction as well as depression, which people are speculating that this may have been a contributor as to why this happened.
Fun fact, in 2015, the US federal government seized around $5 billion in assets from citizens, and in that same year, criminals only stole around $3.5 billion in assets. The US federal government also seized more assets in 2014 and 2019 than criminals stole. This is due to the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act, which was meant to break up the flow of cash and assets to drug cartels, but has essentially given the police a license to steal. It says if the police believe assets in your possession, whether it be cash, real estate, cars, or an iPad, was involved in or was acquired through criminal activity, they have the right to seize it, and then you need to prove to them that you got it legally. The craziest part is they don't even have to charge you with a crime to take your stuff. In 2021, a drug-sniffing dog at a Dallas airport found $100,000 in cash in a woman's suitcase, and the police seized the cash, but didn't charge the woman with any crime, saying she could get it back in court. But this was a rare case. Most cash seizures are under $1,000, but the cost to fight a seizure in court is usually much higher.
Man, so they just run it around. Like, imagine if you had, like, that money legally, you take it out the bank, but, like, they took it anyway, then you have to prove to them in court. That's crazy, man, how they freaking took away all that damn money, bro. Billions of dollars, man. The system, man. It's up. It's a ongoing battle. That's an edit, man. Call them out like we see them. I see you guys calling out the edits in the comments down below too. I appreciate that as well. We're getting better at spotting them out each and every single video. I feel like we're at the expert level.
This is the face of a threat to national security. This otter's a fugitive of the law for the crime of boardjacking surfers in the ocean and then using them as chew toys. See, you're laughing. You're laughing now, because I said otters and you think it's cute, but imagine getting pressed by a predatory plush toy with a vice grip for a mouth. And how do we even get here? With everything I've said, sea otters are naturally afraid of people who go out of their way to avoid us. So the story goes, an otter named 723 was found abandoned and orphaned, but was rescued, rehabilitated, and released back into the wild. Here's the problem though, pretty privileged, as in people kept feeding 723 repeatedly to the point where the same otter that should have been people shy was now going up to people looking for handouts. Eventually 723 was recaptured, and this time they found that people weren't the only ones interested in her, because she was pregnant and she would give birth to daughter 841. But this time the caretakers learned, basically dressing like they just raided Darth Vader's closet, poncho masks and all. Also, 841 wouldn't lose her fear of humans. It didn't work. Literally less than a year after being released, there were reports of an otter going up to surfers and climbing on surfboards. As right, it was someone's disobedient ass daughter. And 841 would attack surfboards like they owed her money. Like, you see that bite? That's a bite of malice. Remember, this is the same animal that can bite through a clam. 841 was a menace in 2023, but eventually the surfboard assault stopped until she popped out again this year, this time with a hellspawn of her own. Yep, she has a kid, meaning this surfboard beef's guaranteed another generation. Especially since there have been several attempts to capture her, but there's nothing about an outlaw otter that's easy. She's on the run and swim. But yeah, when people tell you not to feed wild animals, this is exactly why. I swear y'all play house with a wild animal, but then be Pikachu in the face when they start wilding. Also, and I'm telling y'all right now, she bites one person, she's getting put on her shirt expeditiously. Moral of the story, the worst thing a wild animal can do is lose its fear of humans. That in Santa Cruz is harboring a weapon of otter destruction.
You have to
That's
hear
crazy,
this.
man. Otter attack.
Lives inside of a cemetery. Actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside.
Oh my gosh.
Soon after he heard sirens. And
I decided to step out and see what was happening. I walked through the break like a dumbass.
Cars,
Damn,
firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the
I wish he
cemetery
would attack me
to
in
get a
this
better
shit.
view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between two cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene.
You got it closer to exactly what I said to the other guy, but you left out the part where I scared the cop.
But then, all of a sudden,
and when I jumped in bed with Amber,
pulled
pulled the covers up over my head
to see what it was. And standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless, humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat and he abruptly beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature behind him, but he never
sort of
looked back.
dumbass.
He got home, and immediately locked the doors.
What would you do in this situation?
Is the Grim Reaper
this
real?
person was in a hotel room one night with their door locked, keep in mind. And this random person was trying to break into their room using this tool that is specifically designed to break into people's rooms. And this is why you should always put a towel on your door handle. I promise you, it could save your life. Here's the video.
Reason why I don't use
I gotta try to find it.
restroom.
No public bathrooms could be hiding a deadly secret in plain sight. Recently, investigators in California discovered a shocking trend. People getting seriously ill or worse after using public restroom toilet paper. The reason drug users are reportedly going into these bathrooms, using needles and then cleaning them off by sticking them into the sides of the toilet paper rolls. This contaminates the toilet paper with blood, drug residue, and other harmful substances, all hidden from view when unsuspecting people grab the toilet paper. They're unknowingly exposed to the dangerous contaminants. As the puncture marks are often concealed by the toilet paper casing, specialists now recommend using toilet seat covers instead of the provided toilet paper in public restrooms for safety. The punctures are subtle often on the side, making them impossible to see at a glance. It's a hidden hazard no one expects.
Top 5 of the scare.
That has to be one of the most scariest things, man, that can happen. Like, imagine you just trying to use the bathroom and you come back home sick or something like that. You don't know what's going on because somebody stuck a needle in the side of the toilet paper. Man, now I'm buying toilet freaking covers after this video, bro. So what I wrote, I'm ready, man. That ain't happening to me. Be careful out there.
I bet you can't make it to the end of the video. The last one is scary. Number 5. 3 friends were playing guitar and singing in their room. You know, just having a good time. When something scary appears in the balcony door window. You can see a white figure appear quickly and disappear once the camera pans back.
What do you say?
Woo! Spicy. Hey, maybe you just like the music. Want to do a little dance. Get a little boogie. Get it? Boogie, boo. Please don't unfollow me. Before we get to the next one, can you hit that like button for me? If you get 100,000 hearts, I'll do a part 3. Number 4. A man wakes up to hearing strange noises in his house. When he goes to turn on the lights to see what it is, they seem to not be working. Watch what he sees next.
What the?
Tired of these ghosts messing with electricity when they do not pay bills. Do you know how
Speak
much
about
the
it.
electric bill is right now? Pay up or get out. Okay, check this out. You're alone in the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel when this happens.
What the hell is that? Somebody's trying to come in the damn room?
What's your next move? Let me know down below. Number 3. On the 30th of April, 2022 at 2 a.m., a security camera captured this. Some believe it's a creature dragging a bag, while others believe it's someone walking backwards. A short while after, the security camera catches this. It's the same figure. What do you think this creature is? Number 2. The little girl is in the kitchen alone, and it looks like she's talking to someone. The home security camera captures this.
It's like fighting or something?
So now they're not paying bills and trying to take our food? This is the last straw. Hello, Ghostbusters. A woman and her child
Call
are
them up.
seeing something in the window, but every time she goes to open it, nothing appears to be there. Watch what happens next. Yeah, it got
in the house, and they didn't even realize. Should I do a part 3?
They didn't see, that person didn't feel that freaking like thing behind them. I don't know, the last one got me questioning it. It was cap or real. Cause I can feel when somebody's like behind me. I don't even feel somebody's presence.
On the wall where he had just covered up.
Okay, he covered up the wall.
Scariest mythical creatures in the world. From Japan. Tik Tik.
Tik Tik.
From Puerto Rico. Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. I thought they originated from here.
From the ocean.
Mermaid.
CTHULU.
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I've been seeing a couple of videos on that.
From Arizona. Skinwalker.
You know, you've seen a couple of Skinwalker clips.
From the ocean. Mermaid.
I called it. I knew that had to be on one of them, man.
From Canada. Wendigo.
Interesting.
The name of the game is the Other Mother. You should win this game, no one will ever lie to you again. At least they can't. Play this game, go in front of your mirror with a lit candle. On the mirror, Other Mother. After doing this, cover your eyes, do not look in the mirror, because now you summon the Other Mother, also known as Mother May I. We'll ask you to do 5 things, but before you do it, make sure you say Mother May I. She'll comb your hair, she'll ask you to brush your teeth. She'll then tell you to have dinner with her. And then she'll tell you to go to bed. Whenever she asks you to do any of these, make sure you say Mother May I before you do it. So I go live and play this game, heart this video, follow my account.
I never played any of those games. You ain't getting me.
Everyone is going crazy after people communicate in a dream for the first time ever.
What?
A company called REM Space has designed this technology to allow you to communicate during a dream. Now, 2 people were both put into a lucid dream by scientists, and they were able to communicate fully inside this dream. But how? So both of the people were in bed at their own homes, and they were both synced up to this crazy tech this company has. Now, when one of them went to sleep and entered the lucid dream, the computer generated a word and then put the other person into a lucid dream. They both then woke up, they confirmed the same word, of course, meaning that the first person had communicated that word to the other person because there's no other way they would have known it, showing, of course, that you can communicate during a dream. Now, of course, this is only early days with this technology, but the fact that this was possible is crazy. And the people who developed it said this is going to open a whole new gateway of businesses and companies who will be able to sell things for the dream world, probably including games, multiplayer games and stuff. Like, honestly, it's mental. We're one step closer. This is going to get a lot crazier. I'll keep you updated.
This film might have one
I don't
of the
think
most
that's a good idea.
crazy endings you'll see throughout the entire year. What? So I'm fresh. I've Smile 2, one of the most highly anticipated sequels of the entire year, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I'm not the biggest fan of Smile 1. You got me. I liked it conceptually, you know, with the whole crazy smiling demon, but it was a little too heavily reliant on jump scares like the 2018 Cavs roster with LeBron. The original nearly made my heart explode. So when I came to this, I was very cautious, and I'm happy to say I think it's better than the first for me. I think I've fallen in love with the concept of having these horror movies be in concerts and having these fake pop stars make original songs, because I'm eating that shit up. I got the Sky Riley EP playing in my car on the way home. It makes for such intriguing circumstances we can put our characters through, especially since our main character is a pop star. She has the whole public eye viewing her constantly, and this demon is messing with her head, so she's seeing smiles constantly. It's perfect. Now, if there's one thing that these films entail, you're going to get a stellar lead performance. Naomi Scott, I've been with you since Lemonade Mountain. I knew you were a superstar then.
That's an OG.
Superstar now. No exaggeration, Naomi Scott is brilliant in this film. Like, oh my god. The way we just watch her mentally deteriorate and become literally insane because of this smiling demon, like, I was just in awe. As far as the scares, it's just like its predecessor. Prepare your heart. You're going to hear a lot of like it's going to get. That's on me. I should have done that. That's on me. But you get my point. There were times where I was actively praying, please stop doing the same set piece over and over with someone going into a room. It gets really silent, and then you just hear a loud jolt of noise. Like, we could do better. And they do. There are points where there's really cool body horror, Lovecraftian horror, psychological, mental gymnastics going on. Like, it was cool stuff when they did that. And I think that same sentiment applies to the original, where the last 15 minutes is probably the best part of the film because it is so insane, bonkers stuff. And when it does that stuff in this one, it's just great. Since I did mention psychological horror, I should explain that this film plays a lot more tricks on the main character's mind than the first one. There's times where you have no clue what is real, and it might be a dream sequence or something, and that can be a bit of a cop-out, especially when you get to the second half of this film, but I'll allow it, mainly due to the fact that the ending of this film is insane. Like, I leaned forward in my seat when I watched that on the screen. I was like, okay, I rate it. I should say, I don't know if they use this concept to its fullest potential as far as this pop star that has so many eyes on her, right? And she has this curse. And I felt like we could have gotten even more creative with the scares rather than just going in these dark, empty rooms of her house and getting jump scared. We could have, like, used more social media. She has so many eyes on her. I'm just really anti-jump scare. Like, you're going to make my heart palpitate. I'm blaming you. It's fun, though. I enjoy it. I think if you're a fan of the first, you're probably going to love this one. And Naomi Scott, OG since Lemonade Mouth. I love you.
This is how people...
Shout out Brandy in the comments down below. She said she watched I think the first one. She said it was really good, but you guys know I don't really watch scary movies like that. But from what I'm hearing, people saying it was a good movie.
Thought our world would be 100 years ago. Okay, firstly, people 100 years ago predicted that we would have roofs over our cities to help protect us from weather. And talking about weather, they also thought that we would have weather control machines that would push the storm clouds away. This isn't a bad idea, but wouldn't the storm clouds just go into another city? Next, this is bizarre. People really thought we would be fishing from the other way around. Now, this would be pretty cool. By 2021, people predicted that we would have space elevators that would make space travel cheap and easy. Moving on, instead of car taxis, people 100 years ago thought we would have flying taxis that would help us get to our destinations. If that wasn't wild enough, they thought we would be walking on water with help from our own individual air balloons. Finally, people thought in today's time that we would be able to transport almost whole cities just by using trains.
I mean, they nailed some of the stuff, but some of the stuff they was nailing.
This is a true horrifying story.
Was that it?
The birth of Satan, Iblis. In other sacred texts, he's known as Lucifer. Non-Muslims refer to him as a fallen angel, but Muslims believe that he was never an angel. Angels are made from nur. Iblis was made from fire. Therefore, he is a jinn. He is the biggest jinn, the strongest jinn. And God had so much love for Iblis that he lifted him and he was valued amongst the angels. And then Adam was created, the first human being. Iblis was jealous. God ordered all beings to do sajda for Adam. Out of all beings, Iblis was the only one that refused. And he said, I was made from fire. This being was made from dirt. I will prove to you that Bani Adam is not the righteous being. Adam, Eve, Iblis, and the angels all lived in paradise. Everyone was banned to eat fruit from a specific tree. Iblis manipulated Adam and Eve and they ate from that tree. They had to face consequences, so they were all kicked out of heaven. And that is why people called Iblis a fallen angel. He was never an angel. Iblis asked God if he can have an eternal life, so he can prove that humans are sinners. And that's his task. This is what he lives by. This is the birth of Satan. He gathered the shaitans, and now he has an army. He is the leader of all demons, and he will be the only being on earth that dies last. Iblis today sits on a throne. Nobody knows where he's located. However, in an authentic hadith sahih, the Prophet said that his throne is on water. So we don't know where, but we do know that he's somewhere far in the ocean. There's a short story of a French Arab woman that was possessed by a very powerful jinn for many years. The toughest sheikhs carried exorcisms to treat this woman. But before they kicked the demon out, the sheikhs wanted to ask a few questions. They asked the jinn, where is Iblis located? Without a hesitation, the jinn responds, we visit Iblis in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Some scientists have said, but still did not prove, that the Bermuda Triangle has a magnetic field that caused all these ships and planes to disappear. Now that's just a theory. Now legitimately speaking, a demon has spoken, and he exposed the location of where his leader possibly stays. But could it be Iblis? It is far beyond a question mark. It is in fact a section in the ocean that will kill you if entered.
Stay away from the Bermuda Triangle, man. I remember Mr. Beast did a video surviving there. I don't know how the heck he did that. Brave soul. Dressing up as a clown? Pennywise? What the fuck? I think a little too accurate, bro. Man, you can't walk. Got somebody there, huh?
Paranormal Attacks Part 7. The dude who was attacked by a swarm of raging bees. 23-year-old Alex Bechler and a friend were on a hike in Usery Mountain Park in Arizona when suddenly, without provoke, a swarm of bees suddenly attacked them. The aggressive swarm of bees stung Alex more than 1,000 times. His friend was able to flee and hide in a nearby bathroom. Several people tried to help Alex as he lay on the ground swarmed with these bees, but every time the bees would drive the people away. A sheriff finally used a UTV to get close enough to him, and still covered in bees, he grabbed Alex and fled with the bees pursuing. Once at the hospital, Alex was pronounced dead.
Man.
Creepy videos that you shouldn't watch at night, but you're going to anyway, part 10. I just held up 5, what the fuck. And for my dark web lovers, you will love this video, because this one actually surfaced on the dark web. Also, I might be going on a TV show. I got contacted by a company to make a TV show on Discovery Channel, pretty much about dark web and creepy videos, so thank you guys. So make sure to show some love so we can get him to see it. I just like my lights out. Alright, the video has since been deleted, but people actually downloaded it, so I'm just on YouTube. So this is in binary code. If anybody wants to decode that, please let me know. This video is pretty scary, so let's watch. What the fuck?
What's he wearing?
Oh, hell no. Here's the full binary code, so just save the video. So if you guys need help sleeping at night, click the link in my bio. And once you click the link, click on Get a Peaceful Sleep, and it's an app, download it, and you will get the most peaceful sleep of your life.
I don't know what the hell.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 2. The Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
They need to freaking shut down that whole forest, man. You hear them screaming laughter, bro. That whole spot, where that little circle spot where it's just like nothing else is going. I feel like that's just like a portal, man, with some bad energy around there. Close it down.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This fisherman survived 6 hours in freezing water after his ship sank. He then walked near lava fields for 3 hours barefoot, and when he returned to safety, there were no signs of hypothermia, even though he was just wearing a shirt and jeans. Frank Hart was the first black athlete on a sports card back in 1880. This environmental activist climbed an over 1,000-year-old tree and didn't come back down for over 2 years. This farm boy from Idaho came up with the idea for an electronic television while he was plowing a field at 14 years old. This Italian banker over a 7-year period diverted over €1 million to his poorer clients from the wealthier clients so that they could qualify for loans. He made no profit and avoided jail in 2018 due to a plea bargain. This physician proved that yellow fever could be transmitted through a mosquito bite and unfortunately passed away from that mosquito bite just 17 days later.
He was dedicated to show the truth, man. He's a seeker of the truth for real.
This is known as the doll that aged. The doll used to look like this and was played with by a couple of kids, but then they started to grow up, so the doll was just locked away in the attic for like 14 years. So then as the parents went up to the attic to like clean it out, they were shocked to find the doll look like this.
How the hell was the dog aging?
Disturbing things Disneyland doesn't want you to know. A few years ago in Disney World, Florida, a little boy was snatched by a crocodile, and his remains were found a few hours later in a lake next to the park. Apparently the kid was just next to the water when the crocodile ate him up. Next, did you know that Disneyland has only closed 3 times throughout history? They were when JFK was shot, after a massive earthquake in 1994, and on September 11th, 2001. So let's just say they count on keeping their parks open for as long as possible. And finally, some rumors say that the skulls on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride are actually real human skulls. And if that's real, that is pretty messed up.
Fun fact, never been in Disney World ever.
Did you guys hear about the 34-year-old teacher that was essaying a 13-year-old student, and it turns out that they possibly have a 5-year-old child together? I'm at the point where this stuff doesn't even surprise me anymore because it's been happening so often lately. This woman's name is Laura Karen, and she was a 5th grade teacher in Middle Township Elementary School in New Jersey. So this whole thing started when Laura became the victim's teacher in the 5th grade. Laura and the victim's mother became friends, got to know each other, and she offered to take care of her kids. The victim, who was 11 years old at the time, was staying at Laura's house with his siblings regularly. Now, the kids went from going to Laura's house every day to then actually staying there permanently. It was said the kids did not go home anymore, and they basically lived in Laura's house from 2016 to 2020. During that time, the 11-year-old was being essayed by Laura, and allegedly they have a child together. Then fast forward a few years later, the victim's father saw a photo of Laura's child on Facebook, and he said, "This kid looks a lot like my son." He called police and an investigation began, and Laura was arrested, but they're still waiting on the DNA results. Now, when the siblings were asked if they saw anything weird going on in the house, they said that Laura and their brother slept in her bed every single night. And not only that, but apparently they also showered together, and they caught Laura essaying him one night. The siblings also said that when this baby was born, they knew that this was their brother's child, but they were told not to say anything because then Laura would get in trouble. And you guys won't believe this, but Laura was just released from jail until her next court date. This should be a wake-up call to people who leave their kids with literally just anyone. A lot of people believe that just because someone's a teacher, you can fully trust them, but what you may not know is that a lot of predators get positions that revolve around children just so that it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff.
Interesting people you've never heard
Can't trust
of.
anybody.
This dude ran out of gas in rural Maine in 1986 and then spent the next 27 years living isolated in the woods. This man was killed on a street in Brooklyn just before midnight on 9/11/2001, making him the sole victim of murders on that day because New York does not count the 9/11 attacks in its crime statistics, and his murder remains unsolved. This convicted Japanese war criminal recreated his prison cell at home because he believed that his 10-year sentence was too short, and he stayed there till he passed away. This professional swimmer retired due to lung complications after saving 20 people from debris-filled waters. Japan welcomed their first female fighter pilot in 2018 after she was inspired by Top Gun as a child. This basketball player slammed his head into a concrete post after he was frustrated getting his 5th foul and ultimately was never able to walk again.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day. Firstly, you know these vacuum toilets that are most commonly used on planes and cruise ships? Well, there have been many reports of them sucking the rectum out of people when they flush. Next, this is just disappointing. 1 in 4 Americans actually believe that the sun rotates around the earth. Now, studies show that the average person will wait 5 months of their lifetime for red lights to turn green. You know when you're watching a movie or TV show and you hear these laugh tracks in the background? Well, most of them were recorded in the 50s, so you're hearing dead people laugh. This will ruin your childhood. The Red Power Ranger, Ricardo Medina, pleaded guilty to killing his roommate with a sword. Finally, you are now closer to death than you were when you started this video.
You want a Power Rangers for us, man. Who watched that when you was a kid, bro? Man, what's up with these actors, bro? It's like, once they lose their gig, it's over.
Disney princesses' gloves. Take a look at all the Disney princesses. Some are wearing gloves, some aren't. You'll notice that all the ones who aren't wearing gloves are commoners who married into royalty. Boo's real name in Monsters, Inc. is Mary. And this is the same as the young girl who voices Boo. Her name is Mary Gibbs. And her name is only visible when she's in their apartment and they're making drawings and her name is on the paper. Bambi only uses 72 unique words throughout the entire film. And in total, there are only about 900 words spoken throughout the entire thing as well. To get Robin Williams to play the genie in Aladdin, animators created a sequence of the genie performing Robin Williams stand-up routines, and this was one of the ways they pulled in Robin Williams for this part. Simba literally means lion. In Swahili, Simba directly translates to lion.
I never do that. What the hell? So his name is his name.
Only kids can hear this sound. So scientists discovered a sound they believe only kids can hear. The name of the sound is mosquito tone and it is at a frequency of 17 kilohertz. This is the sound. Let me know if you can hear it.
In 3, 2, 1.
So did you hear the sound? More?
Did Doja Cat sell her soul and now she's in the Illuminati? She recently celebrated her 27th birthday with the Illuminati themed party, and they say when you sell your soul, like the devil takes something from you. Watch this clip, it's weird. That clip is not from her birthday party, but basically she's making all these weird faces. We know her music is a little symbolic, but just watch this other clip of her looking like she's glitching, she's glaring off into space, it's weird.
Yo, check out Doja Cat. Tell me she on time out. Looks like she just... Yo, what happened to her? She glitched. Yo, she glitched.
Celebrities are kind of weird, like we've seen Cardi B space out in the middle of interviews, but when you're winning an award, that seems like a time when you shouldn't be like spacey. What do you guys think about this? Do you think she sold her soul?
Man, people in the industry, you know, some like I said, her music is like symbolic, so, but to say that she had a birthday party and that was the theme, I don't know if that's just like trying to be hidden in plain sight, or she's just trying to, you know, like, try to, you know, reflect that narrative back and just trying to, you know, be like, oh, it's just a party. It's everywhere, man.
Times when jokes backfired big time. In 2006, the high-end water Fiji ran an ad campaign jokingly saying the label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland. Well, the city of Cleveland, Ohio saw this and were offended because what did they ever do to deserve this? So rightfully, the city of Cleveland tested their tap water and found that it was actually cleaner and tastier than Fiji water. Next, several years ago, a California man jokingly got a personalized license plate that read no, and thought it would trick the database so whenever he got a ticket, it would register as no, meaning nothing. Well, the problem with that is, anytime there was an error on anyone else's license plate, they assigned it to him. He got $12,000 in fines.
Try to trick the system, ain't work.
This post made me think, what animal am I glad that I don't have to deal with? I'm cool with most animals, but I think I draw the line at bears, especially grizzly bears. And so the idea of the giant, short-faced bear is something I definitely find frightening. These were like grizzly bears, but much bigger. These were found in the Americas and went extinct towards the end of the last ice age. So around 12,000 years ago. I don't know what it is about bears, but there's something about them that freaks me out more than any other animal. I'm not really sure why. Maybe one of my ancestors got chomped. As always, come talk on my Discord. You could even suggest content. Though the stickers are getting a little questionable. Info on my Discord in pinned.
Which animals are y'all glad that went extinct? Maybe the dinos for me. Could you guys imagine dinosaurs roaming the earth right now? Especially with the T-Rex. Nah.
Has anybody ever told you the terrifying true story of Snow White? I'm sure by now we all know the Disney version, but the Brothers Grimm version, which came before the Disney version, is actually much darker. In this version, the evil queen orders the huntsman to take Snow White into the woods, kill her, and bring back her liver and lungs crumbs for the queen to eat, which is obviously very disturbing, but there's actually more to the story. Later in the story, the prince and Snow White are getting married, and they invite all the royalty in the land. The evil queen shows up, unknowing it was her stepdaughter's wedding. When she arrives, she's forced to step into burning hot iron shoes brought from the fireplace, and then she has to dance until she dies, and that's her punishment for trying to go after Snow White. I don't really feel bad for her, but gosh, I mean, this version is terrifying.
What's something small that completely changed the course of history? I'll go first. If not for a wobbly chair, we probably wouldn't have Social Security today. Giuseppe Zangara was an Italian immigrant who came to America in the 1920s for a better life. But he had a condition with his gallbladder that caused him immense pain and made him often unable to work. At the height of the Great Depression, there is a political rally near where Giuseppe lives in Miami. Giuseppe is a desperate man, and he was also a marksman in the Italian army. However, he was also only 5 feet tall, so he needs to stand on a wobbly metal chair in order to see over the crowd and get a good aim at President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Giuseppe fires 5 shots, but because the chair is wobbly, he hits the mayor of Miami instead of FDR. This was FDR's vice president at the time, John Nance Carter, a conservative Democrat from Texas who opposed New Deal policies like Social Security. And if it weren't for a wobbly chair, he would have been president instead of FDR.
Whoa. Change the course of history.
What is the
She
craziest
needs
thing that
justice.
someone's confessed to on their deathbed? Well, a deathbed confession made this year solved a 20-year-old cold case. And this is coming from the Heart Starts Pounding podcast episode that's all about cold cases that were solved this year. So this year in West Virginia, a man named Larry Webb was dying. And before he died, he called a nurse over and said he needed to get it off his chest that he killed a woman and her daughter back in 2000. It turns out that back then, a woman named Susan Carter and her 10-year-old daughter Alex were living with Larry while Susan was in a custody battle with Alex's father. And one day they just disappeared, but because they were together when they disappeared, police assumed that Susan just ran away with her daughter. But Larry confirmed that that's not what happened. The story he gave on his deathbed is that one day he came home to see that Susan was stealing money from him, and so he shot her. And then panicking, he wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, and that included Alex, her daughter. And to me, the craziest thing in all of this is that Larry had really bad dementia, so when he gave this confession, they weren't really convinced that it was true. But the day after he died, both of their remains were found in his backyard. If you want to hear more on that story and other cold cases that were solved this year, check out the Cold Cases That Were Solved This Year episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
When it's the end, man. When the end is near, people, that's when they want to tell the truth, I guess, you know. Get it off their chest on burden.
The world's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I'm going to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking. No way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Did you know some truth to that?
Forks were used in ancient China, which were then replaced by chopsticks. It has rained more in Los Angeles this year than in Seattle. Your red blood cells only live about 120 days. Coke had 3 different opportunities 100 years ago to buy Pepsi and refused every single time. Christmas lights used to be a status symbol because they would often be rented instead of bought because they were so expensive. This river in the Amazon has boiling water. Australia has the highest skin cancer rate in the world. Angel Falls in Venezuela is the highest uninterrupted waterfall in the world. The Eiffel Tower can be taller by about 15 centimeters in the summer due to the increased temperatures expanding the metal. It only took Lady Gaga 10 minutes each to write Poker Face, Born This Way, and Just Dance. The Cubs' 2016 World Series ring includes an engraving of the Billy Goat that was refused entry in the 1945 World Series, which caused the owner to lay a curse on the team.
One of my favorite Saw traditions is back. For those who don't know, for every Saw movie that comes out, they have a Saw blood drive. It's a partnership with the Red Cross. They did it for the very first Saw movie as a way to promote the film. If you come and give us some blood, we give you free tickets to see the movie. But the original filmmakers saw how successful this was. They saw how many people came out to donate blood, and they decided they wanted to do it again, but just to mostly help people than anything. And they did this for the Saw movies 1 through 8. And by the time Saw 8, aka Jigsaw, finished its promotional campaign, over 360,000 total lives have been saved because of the Saw franchise. I did make a video talking about this back in 2021. Wow, the difference a few years makes. They had to skip over the blood drive for Spiral, I'm assuming because of COVID-related reasons, but now it's back for Saw X, and the posters look so good. They're also advertising all blood types are accepted from all people, which is amazing.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. At least that's what a lot of people think. And here's some of the evidence that they cite when they talk about this case. So after his initial arrest, Jeffrey Epstein was placed on suicide watch for a number of reasons, even though he was continuously telling prison psychologists, friends, attorneys that he wouldn't do that and he's never considered it. So first of all, let's take a look at this sign. This is a sign that was hanging on or around Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell. No one knows why this question mark is around the mandatory. A newspaper even reached out to the Bureau of Prisons to ask about why there was an underlying question mark here, but they refused to comment. 7:49 on the night before they found Epstein dead in his cell. He's led to his cell and he's placed there. So Epstein had been on suicide watch for weeks at this point, but he had just been taken off suicide watch the day before. The people running the prison, the Bureau of Prison System, they recommended that Jeffrey Epstein needed to have a roommate at all times. Even if he had been taken off of the list, he was still on the list, if you know what I mean. Well, for some reason, that night his roommate was not assigned to him, they were removed from the cell, and that left Jeffrey Epstein completely alone in his jail cell. Now remember this sign that said that they have to search his cell and look at Jeffrey Epstein every 30 minutes? Well, that did not happen. Well, it turns out that the two security guards that were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes, Michael Thomas and Tova Noel, did not check on him for over 8 hours. Video surveillance footage literally shows them playing with their phones and sleeping on the job. And keep in mind that Epstein at this point was America's most high-profile criminal. This dude was all over the news. And after all this, these two were charged with falsifying documents and attempting to defraud the federal government. So something that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way about all this is the security camera footage itself. Now, this is a prison. Every angle should have been being captured at every single moment. You know, anything can happen in prison. And video footage of the security guards exists from that night, but there is no video footage of Epstein's cell block area or his cell door. It's actually been reported that the camera that was shooting the angle down Jeffrey Epstein's cell block area corrupted the night that he took his own life. Of all times for this one specific camera to corrupt and the footage to be lost, it was that night when it happened. And there's a lot more that we're going to get into, but like I said, there's just a lot here that we're going to cover, but this quote really says a lot about what I just told you. So, Epstein's taken off suicide watch the day before he kills himself. His roommate is removed from the cell. The cameras on his tier are not working. The guards fell asleep. It seems almost impossible to think all those things could happen in that way. And this is Epstein we're talking about, America's most high-profile prisoner. In fact, the suicide watch observation log, this is the actual document, shows that Epstein was acting pretty normally that day. Which isn't to say that he wasn't deceiving people by saying he didn't want to take his own life when he was secretly trying to get alone time where he could do it, but it's still an interesting side note. In the next TikTok, we're going to get into the really crazy.
Now this is why you should not marry your cousin.
Okay.
In a village in Turkey, there is a family that walks on all fours. Hidden from the world, discovered by only a handful of scientists, this family have never been able to stand upright. Experts have been baffled by this. The family displays an almost animal-like state. But why? Well, the parents are first cousins and have 18 children. Because of this, the kids were born with an extremely rare disorder that affects their sense of balance. Sadly, the children are treated like social outcasts. They're even bullied and beaten up by the local kids.
It got that bad where it's like they're in a, like I said, they're in that state they can only walk on their hands. The other thing they have 18 kids together. What the? Not too much to say on that, Seekers.
Here are the top 5 most disrespectful predators in nature, because sometimes it's not about a meal, it's about sending a message.
Let's hear it.
The jaguar. Their whole game plan revolves around factory resetting their prey by tooth punching their skull. Alpha pounds strongest bite of any cat turn a lizard into luncheon. They'll put a caiman out of order. That's a reptile dysfunction. It's the fact they go into the water to turn an alligator understudy into a belt. Forrest the falcon. You want to see why? You want to see it again? Imagine a 240-mile-per-hour avian assault to the back of the nugget. And with weak claws for a bird of prey, falcons ball up their feet before impact. So yeah, they can literally falcon punch your ticket to the cloud cookout. 3 hyenas. No particular reason. 2 are golden eagles, because what do you mean you yeet goats off cliffs? Where did that thought process come from?
What the
You said you want to be like Mike, you want to fly, I got you, first class. Then you go subject them to this NPC at death, gave him time to do nothing but reflect. One needs no explanation, but you're still gonna get it. Orcas are liable to world star slap a stingray, and like falcons, they're not above weaponizing physics. You want to see how fast a seal can join the Air Force? Follow a desaturated psychopath long enough. And let it be known, they don't have to be in their element to emancipate you from the population. Some might say too smart for their own good. I disagree. You'll find they're doing quite swimmingly.
A Barbie left on the
Crazy.
crib of this murdered child might be used to solve her cold case. 6-year-old Rosie Tapia was abducted from her bedroom on August 13th, 1995. Her mother had gotten home at 3 a.m. and checked on Rosie in the bedroom that she shared with her siblings. They were all sleeping soundly with the window open, and her mother went to close the window but didn't lock it because the noise would wake the children. Literally just 2 hours later, her mom woke up and got a feeling that she needed to check on her children. Rosie was gone, and her body was later found floating in the nearby canal. Police determined that the screen had been pried off from the outside, and being so low to the ground, an intruder could easily get in. And unfortunately, any DNA on her body was contaminated by the canal water. And after Rosie was buried, the family found a single Barbie doll sitting on her grave. And police are hoping that DNA from the doll can be used to solve the case. Advances in DNA technology give hope that one day Rosie's case can be solved, and over 60 people have been swabbed, but no one's been arrested. There are multiple suspects in this case, including a man that was seen walking with wet jeans on the morning of Rosie's death, and this man in the hat and sunglasses that carried Rosie back to her apartment after she hurt herself on the playground the day before she died. I do a deep dive into possible suspects and theories on the murder of Rosie Tapia on my YouTube channel Celestial Sylvia.
Things humans...
What do you guys think, man? There's a whole bunch of things about that case, man, that doesn't right. The not locked windows, the 2 suspects, especially that they said the drawing of that man who brought her back the day before of the events that took place. Was he like watching her? It's things we got to be aware of, man. You never know who's watching.
We're never meant to see.
Okay.
Firstly, we've all seen alligators poke their head out of water, and it's pretty terrifying when they do this. However, this is what their body looks like underneath the water. And this honestly makes alligators seem a lot less scary. This is what water looks like on fire. How is this even possible?
What?
Okay, next, in World War II, the US made inflatable tanks that were used as decoys in the war. This is genius. We were not meant to see this. This man threw boiling water off his balcony, and it instantly turned to snow. And this is a super rare sheepfish. It's a snail that has the head of a sheep and the body of a plant.
Whoa. Learn something new every day. At it. Call it like I see it.
Do you ever see a picture that just makes your stomach drop? This is a still from an alert that a woman named Alexis Randall got on her phone. It's from a security camera that was set up in her living room, but she's looking at this and she's thinking the same thing you are. She's like, what's wrong with the picture here? Why did the motion detector go off? But then look a bit closer, specifically at the bathroom door.
I don't see nothing.
This man who was staring at the camera from the doorway. She spots this picture and she immediately panics and calls the police, but by the time they get there, this guy is gone. What really freaked her out even more is that when police got there, they found evidence that the bathroom window had been tampered with. Further security footage would show that the man had crawled through the bathroom window the night before and was hiding in the hallway bathroom all through the night, even while she was in the house. And if you guys are loving creep time, make sure to go follow on Insta.
Man. How the hell he was in the whole house and she didn't even know? See, it's things like that, man, that makes, if you by yourself, it makes living like that scary, bro. You're in a place by yourself, and like you said, it was pitch black. I ain't seen nothing in the pitch, but yeah, if you zoomed in, there's definitely was somebody there. And he was there the whole time. He didn't do nothing. What was his intention, man? What was he even doing in there? That's gonna make me check every dark room from now on, bro. I can't ask somebody about house and I know it.
Really weird fun facts that you might find pretty damn interesting. Number 1, banging your head against a wall for an hour burns 150 calories.
What?
Number 2, approximately 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year.
Whoa.
Number 3, there's a higher chance of you being elected president of the United States than winning the lottery. Number 4, an average of 100 people choke to death on ballpoint pens each year. Number 5, it is harder to be an employee at Walmart than a student at Harvard because Walmart has a lower acceptance rate. Number 6, human birth control pills work on gorillas. Number 7, there are 2 million millionaires in the United States. I am not one of them. And number 8, like fingerprints, every tongue print is different from person to person.
Learn some new facts today.
How rare is your body? Let's find out. About 28% of people have a dark limbal ring, which is this dark ring around the outside of your eye, and as you age, you're more likely to have one. Only about 5% of people have these back dimples, and these are more common in females than they are in males. Only about 4% of people have something called a talon's cusp, and you can see it right here on the back of the tooth. It's almost like a little talon or fang, and they're usually benign, and they're more common in males than females. Only about 33% of people are left eye dominant, and yes, you actually have a dominant eye. And if you want to test which eye you are dominant in, put your hands in a little triangle, put them out and center an object in it, and then close your left eye, and if the object stays centered, you're right eye dominant, and if it's the opposite, then you're left eye dominant.
Try that. Well, what that symbol you said to me was that.
Yo, what's up? These are fun facts about women that are actually pretty crazy. Part 5. Taller women are more likely to have cancer, whereas shorter women are more likely to have smaller babies. I don't think that's a fair trade, but it's not my doings. In Greece, throwing an apple at a woman was considered a marriage proposal. Now, if anyone did that in America, and they threw an apple at the woman they were trying to propose to, she would definitely walk up to him and calmly go, "Yo, why'd you throw that apple at me? That ain't cool. Now I'm gonna have to beat you, bruh." 80% of women will ask questions that they already know the answer to, and the reason being is they're not trying to interrogate us, they're just trying to see if we're listening and if we actually care about what they're saying. So, just pay attention, guys. A lot of women lose 2 to 3 hours of sleep every night due to overthinking, anxiety, worry, whatever that may look like. And I'm not saying guys don't do this too, but women are linked to having less serotonin, which helps them go to sleep. So women, if you're still up, get on the Xbox, play some COD, and smack some noobs for us.
Really? What the Well, there's some new facts today, Seekers. That's a damn edit. What the fuck? You can clearly see that. Come on, man.
This person's body is just filled with parasites and parasite eggs all over the place. Those very white spots you see, those are all eggs. Now, how did this person get this way? They got this way by eating undercooked pork for 10 years. And not just undercooked, like undercooked and raw. This can also happen from like undercooked bacon and stuff like that. That's why you really gotta fry it up. The condition this person has is called trichinosis. It comes from the trichinella parasite. And honestly, I'm not even sure if you would survive this. I would assume it would eat your body literally from the inside out. When the infection is extensive and heavy like this, people have trouble regulating their heartbeat, breathing, and even moving. Which makes sense because your body is literally being eaten. All the nerves, everything. However, it is good news. The estimated death rate for this is like 0.2%. But also, I'm not sure how extensive a lot of those cases are. I'm sure they're not as extreme as this case right here. So that's your scary fact of the day. Don't eat undercooked meat. And this isn't just pork. Usually undercooked meats in general can give you this. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only. Bye,
That is scary, man. Goes to show you, if your food ain't properly cooked, man, that's how I like my stuff. crispy well done, because me personally, I don't even like eating undercooked stuff. It just tastes like completely weird to me. But that's another reason right there. He had all those parasites in his body. Like I said, you're literally getting eaten from the inside out because you're not properly cooking your food. Pay attention, man.
Tiny zodiac signs that will be rich in 2024. Rats have a good chance of winning the lottery or gaining from a successful investment. Monkeys will earn large amounts of money and be able to fulfill their biggest desires. Rabbits will join projects that put a lot of money in their pockets from as early as the first few days. Dragons will attract wealth like a magnet. Starting February 10th, money will pour in from everywhere, and dragons will be able to afford whatever they want.
Really?
Snakes will be rewarded by their bosses for their efforts and brilliant ideas. They'll receive a substantial raise or bonus, causing their income to increase greatly.
Yeah, funny thing about that. The sound of the lion in the MGM logo was actually the roar of a tiger. And it's because tigers were seen to have a louder, more intimidating roar, where lions had more of an aggressive, low-frequency cough. I'm not even kidding. YouTube it. YouTube lion versus tiger roar. A lion will make you defecate bricks, but a tiger will make you your soul. You know the majestic, shrieking call of the bald eagle in the beginning of literally every Western movie? Well, it was never a bald eagle making that sound. That famous cry was actually a red-tailed hawk. It's because the symbol of America just sounds like a seagull with laryngitis. Go ahead, YouTube it. I'm not going anywhere. The bald eagle takes credit for something that was never his in the first place. That is the bird we put on our flag. Some jokes just write themselves. Remember the dolphin sound from SpongeBob? Well, you were lied to, because it was never a dolphin. It was really a sped-up edited call of this Australian bird called a kookaburra, or however you pronounce it. Oh, you didn't hear it? Also, if you're old enough to remember this show, first of all, God bless you. And second, the dolphin call in this show was also a modified kookaburra. Okay, one more. Mufasa's roar was actually made by using a combination of a tiger, an F-16 fighter jet, and a really pissed off grizzly bear. It's called Lion King for a reason.
He was just exposing the damn freaking industry, bro. I thought all that stuff was real. The lion roar was really a tiger roar. The flipper, and that SpongeBob episode, man, all these that they just using different sound effects and just mashing them up together. Everybody needs to know about this, man. They've been lying to us. Should have known. Can't trust anything you see on TV nowadays, especially the times we live in.
What the loudest bird on earth sounds like.
That wasn't edited, by the way. They actually do sound like they could legitimately trigger a veteran. That is a white bellbird, and they're considered the loudest bird in the world, peaking at 125 decibels. Since that number probably doesn't mean anything to you, a jackhammer is 130, and a jet engine is about 140. Now, do you ever wonder what animals are trying to say when they scream like this? Well, don't. I'll tell you. He's horny. The male bellbird's game is literally screaming into the face of a female. And I'm guessing they're into it because it seems to work for them. And you know what else does? That weird hanging thing there? Yeah, that's called a waddle with 2 T's. And scientists believe that's how males flex on females. So the lower it hangs, the more he slangs. The more you know.
Alright.
Mo, can you just pass my drink that's on the table, please?
Edit.
Thanks.
We all know that's a damn edit.
So you may have seen this image
Crazy.
floating around the internet today. Because this image, which was recently released, was taken before Emma Brown, featured below, took a gun and turned it on her father and then herself.
What the
The photo is from last year in September, and the plan was part of a murder plot that her and another 12-year-old girl came up with. It was later discovered that Emma's plan was to kill her family and her pets and then run away with a friend. And after she shot her father in the abdomen, she was running towards the driveway when it's believed that she panicked and turned the gun on herself. This all happened in Texas, and now authorities believe that she was headed towards the driveway so she could grab her car, drive about 230 miles to her friend, and then the both of them were going to drive to Georgia together. It's also now believed that Emma didn't come up with this plan herself. It was actually planned by the friend, but they're not releasing the friend's name, and it's not clear how Emma and her met. It's a little implied that cops are blaming social media for this. They issued a statement that basically said, now is a good time to make sure you know who your kids' friends are. Especially if they're meeting people off the internet, because you don't ever really know what they're talking about.
Facts.
So I'm obsessed with the dark side of Disney. And did you know there's a horrible period of accidents at Disneyland that doesn't really get talked about a lot? It's been referred to as the Disney Dark Ages. It was from 1997 to 2003 when this guy, Paul Pressler, was the president of Disneyland. Paul basically decided they were no longer going to do scheduled maintenance on rides. They were only going to fix rides when they were broken. Did it save money? Sure. But this resulted in some of the worst accidents the park had ever seen. One of the worst being that of Brandon Zucker. In 2001, Brandon Zucker was on the Roger Rabbit ride, which was already having maintenance issues. An employee put Brandon on the wrong side of the car, and when he put the lap band down, it didn't close all the way. So at one point in the ride, Brandon tumbled out of his seat and was hit by an oncoming car. The car pinned him and dragged him down the track before anyone could do anything. Also, at the time, Disney employees were not allowed to call 911. They had to call park emergency services, who then called 911. So it took a while for anyone to come get Brandon. He did survive the accident, but he had brain damage so bad he was nonverbal and lost a lot of motor skills for the rest of his life. And eventually he passed away at 13 years old.
Watching you sit there.
To hear, man, Disney back in, that's actually insane that they couldn't even call the cops. They had to call the people there, and then it was another call to the cops that had to be made. Man, the things people do, bro, just to save some extra money, like, it's not worth it at the end of the day, because you're affecting people. That, like, is one of the most dumbest ideas I've heard, where you're gonna wait until the ride is actually broken and then decide to fix it. You try to stop a problem before it even gets to that mark. You don't wait till the problem actually happens, then fix it. What type of logic, backward logic is that?
Smile, laugh, shake your head like this was no big deal. I'm very tempted to just say, I'm not going to accept this sentence agreement. We'll go to trial, and if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there.
Judge ain't playing no games.
Your wife will never be better than his life. Your wife will never trump my son's death. You get to live. You get to wake up every day. Your actions have led you to a prison cell.
I just want to tell
He's smiling.
I'll be home soon, or I'll be Keon. I love my family. That's all you got to say.
He gave him luck. How can people smile when they do something like that, man? It's just like it's unhuman to me, man. At it. It's on no freaking portal. See it from right there.
Did you know Jack the Ripper's identity might have been revealed? The Ripper terrorized
Come again?
Whitechapel, a district in London, England, in 1888, responsible for the deaths of 5 women. Sarah Bax Horton, a relative of one of the original police investigators, alleges that Jack was a cigar maker by the name of Chaim Hyams. Horton's claim is based on Hyams' medical records, as he suffered from a peculiar gait as a consequence of his alcoholism and epilepsy. This peculiar style of movement, a declining mental condition, and violent criminal history paint a potential solution to the long unsolved mystery. Additional evidence includes that Hyams also lived in Whitechapel, and as a cigar maker would have had many knives at his disposal, which some have theorized was the primary weapon of Jack the Ripper. Coincidence or mystery solved? Let us know in the comments.
This is why
What do
you
you
have
guys
to be
think?
careful who you let into your Halloween parties. So this is a photo of who police believed was a guest at a Halloween party in Rochester, New York in the 1940s. The party was being thrown by Jack and Amelia Layton, and they actually noticed that this guest was outside of the party watching the guests through a window.
Weird.
The report claims that Amelia believed the guest was her friend Jan, who tended to go above and beyond for Halloween, creating very scary costumes. So she let this person in believing it was her friend Jan. But then 20 minutes later, Jan shows up, and that guest could not be found anywhere. So Amelia starts running around the party asking everyone if they knew who that guest was, and no one had recognized that person. So she goes into her daughter's room, who was playing while the party was happening. And the police report states that the only thing there left of Amelia's daughter was a bloody shoe. 4 other reports of this guest being at parties that night were called into police, and all of them resulted in missing children's cases. The identity of this person has never been found, and none of the kids have been found either.
Like she said, gotta be careful who you invite to these parties, man. Especially when you're having a big one, you can't kind of monitor how many people are in your house or in your area. Better have try to have extra people watching, because you never know, man. You just had that one widow who just tries to slip through, ain't trying to have a good time. They have different intentions. And like she said, she was at 4 other parties, or that person. And look what that resulted into. Always be where you're surrounded, man. That's when I'm out. I don't wear my headphones like when I'm out walking and stuff like that. Only sometimes, because I like to be aware. I need to know what's going on around me at all times.
So I always thought no one ever dies at Disney. Like, even if something horrible happens, they get the person off the park so they can always say that no one's ever died there. But then I found out not only is that not true, but a law firm has compiled all of the incidents. I'm going to share a few of them with you, but if you're interested in stories like this, make sure you follow the podcast, because tonight's episode's just going to be these stories.
Okay.
So 2 of the park's worst accidents have both happened on the Matterhorn ride. One of them being a woman named Dolly, who in 1984 fell off of one of the back of the sleds onto the rails. At the time, these gondolas used to go into the rides, and so there was actually a family that watched her fall off onto the track. And so the family also saw as there was another car racing towards Dolly. The dad actually screamed at his daughters to cover their eyes, which was for the best, because Dolly got hit hard. She got hit so hard that when EMTs arrived on the scene and were going up into the ride, there were park attendants coming down telling them not to look. And so finally, when someone was looking at the car she was in, they noticed that her seatbelt was unbuckled. But it's never been confirmed if she unbuckled her seatbelt herself, or if an attendant didn't check her seatbelt well enough and it was never buckled in the first place.
There's a horrific murder case that's happening right now out of Arizona that's still unsolved. Let's talk about what happened to Mercedes Vega. On April 16th of this year, Mercedes was abducted from the parking garage of her Tempe, Arizona apartment and brutally killed.
Damn.
That night, security footage shows her walking into her apartment's parking garage a little after 9 p.m. She was on her way to meet her friends and have a fun night at Dave & Buster's, but in this footage, she had no idea what was about to happen to her. Sometime before making it to her car, she was attacked and taken by at least 2 people, and the details that follow are still a mystery. A little after 1 a.m. the next morning, the Department of Public Safety was called in to investigate a car that was on fire along the side of Interstate 10 in Tonopah. Upon arriving to the scene, they found Mercedes' burned body in the back seat, and she was deceased. In the last few hours of her life, she was tortured, and according to the medical examiner, she had been shot in the arm, had blunt force trauma to her head, and had traces of bleach in her throat. But all of this did not kill her. She ultimately died from smoke inhalation while being burned alive in that car. Investigators also found gloves and bleach in the front seat and lighter fluid in the back, but there are still a ton of questions that remain in this case, and nothing about this makes any sense. The car that Mercedes was found in was not her car. Her car, which was a 2019 Dodge Charger, was found abandoned near Mill Avenue in Tempe. She was not burned in her own vehicle, and so far, investigators still don't know who the car she was found in belongs to. One of the big questions in this case is, how did her car get from her apartment to where it was found? And who drove the other car to Tonopah? Mercedes' parents believe that this was a targeted attack and that death wasn't the ultimate goal, but that Mercedes fought back, which resulted in her death. Her parents mentioned that she danced at a club 2 nights a week, and many question if her death could possibly be connected back to someone she met while at work. It's now been 7 months, and Mercedes' murder is still unsolved. Whoever committed this vicious attack is still out there. Right now, there is a silent witness award of up to $2,000 for information leading to an arrest. But if you'd like to donate to up that reward or to report a tip, please contact the number on the screen. For more information on this case and to show your support, please follow this account that was created for Mercedes that's run by her family. She and her family deserve justice.
Seek the truth.
The case of the boy in the box is truly haunting. On February 25th, 1957, authorities received a call of a mysterious box in the woods outside of Philadelphia. They were horrified to find the remains of a young boy who seemed to be about 4 to 6 years old. He was malnourished and covered in bruises, and his cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma to the head. Not only is his case a mystery to this day, his identity has still never been found.
That's weird. even with today's technology?
This is considered one of the most shocking cases in Polish history. On January 6, 1999, a sailor in Poland noticed something strange floating on the river. It was long and pale and it smelled very bad. And as he leaned in closer to get a better look, he saw an ear attached to it. Now, what I'm about to say next is very disturbing, so be warned. After the sailor found this substance, DNA testing then indicated it was the skin of a missing woman named Katarzyna Zawada. And whoever did this to her turned her skin into a suit and was likely wearing it. So at this point, only her skin was found. Until January 14th, when pieces of her clothing and one leg was found also in the river. 17 years later, 52-year-old Robert J. was arrested for this. He previously worked in a dissection lab, meaning he was skilled in preparing animal skin. And he allegedly also knew the victim. As of October 2022, 23 years since the victim was found, Robert J. is still awaiting trial. As he remains in custody, investigators are allegedly gathering more evidence to solve the case. Follow for more.
So he's wearing a human skin suit. He skinned her alive and he was wearing her suit like a shapeshifter or something like that. Something you had out of a horror movie. Think about that, man. That's gonna rattle in your head for a while.
This is Charles Manson. He was the leader of the infamous commune/cult known as the Manson family. After spending his youth in and out of reform schools, Manson's first prison sentence came in 1956. He spent the next 11 years in and out of prison. In 1967 he was released from prison again and made his way to San Francisco. He became a sort of spiritual guru, with him and his followers, typically young women, being known as the Manson family. They created a home at Spahn Ranch in 1968. In July 1969, Gary Hinman was killed by the family. In August 1969, Sharon Tate, girlfriend of director Roman Polanski, was killed by the family. She was 8 months pregnant. The family also killed Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojtek Frykowski, Stephen Parent, Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, and Donald Shea. The murders were allegedly on the back of Manson's orders. There's so much more to this story and its background, so let me know if you'd like a part 2.
Yeah, the freaking cult doing all that for him, man. Manipulations.
One bone-chilling night in 1973, the two young McDaniel children claimed to see a creature lurking around their house. This isn't my typical true crime case, however, this story is too freaky not to talk about. The father actually didn't believe his children until one night when he heard something scratching at the side of their house. When shining the flashlight, it showed a human-like creature. Mr. McDaniel actually claimed it had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. His story freaked the town out so much that police actually threatened that if he didn't stop talking about this creature, they would arrest him. By the time all of this was over, 5 men actually had been arrested because they fired shots into the air when they thought that they saw the creature.
They're gonna arrest him for telling a story? That doesn't make sense at all.
This woman literally chopped her baby's arms off with a kitchen knife, all because God told her to. Dena and John Schlosser lived in Plano, Texas with their 3 daughters, ages 9, 6, and 10 months old. On November 22nd, 2004, John got a call from Dena saying she'd just cut off their baby's arms. He thought she was joking, even though Dena had a history of mental illness. Regardless, when you hear a claim like that, it should be taken seriously. Instead of calling the police, John called the pastor of his church. The pastor told John to call someone who can check on Dena and their baby Margaret to make sure everything is okay. He then called his neighbor Carolyn, who worked at a daycare center in the area, and asked for them to check on Dena and Margaret. Carolyn called Margaret on the phone, and that's when things started to get real. It's unclear what the phone call entailed, but whatever it was, it led a fellow daycare employee to call the police. 911 dispatcher Steve Edwards then called Dena to see if everything was okay. Dena picked up the phone and calmly told Steve she just cut off her baby's arms. Steve asked Dena if she wanted to help her baby, and she smugly said no. As if this woman didn't already seem crazy enough, Steve said he heard church hymns playing in the background. Like, what is this woman's deal? With that, police officers and paramedics rushed to the scene. Officer David Tilley was the first to arrive. He found Dena covered in red fluid with a gash on her shoulder and a 9-inch kitchen blade in her hand. One report said she was sitting at her computer table, casually reading her Bible with the gospel song "He Touched Me" playing in the background. Oh my god, this is like straight out of a horror movie. David was able to convince Dena to hand him the blade, and when she did, he noticed pieces of flesh on it. Ugh, I bet his stomach was in knots. More officers showed up, and they found the almost 11-month-old baby Margaret in her crib in the back bedroom. Sadly, the claims were true. Margaret's arms had indeed been cut off, and she was losing fluid quickly. Margaret was rushed to the hospital while officers interviewed Dena. Dena showed absolutely no emotion during her interview. She admitted to cutting off her baby's arms with a dazed look in her eyes. Apparently, Dena saw this story on the news about a lion attacking a young boy and took it as a sign of the apocalypse. God then commanded her to cut off the arms of her baby, and she obeyed. Dena also said God told her to cut her arms off after that, which is why she had the wound on her shoulder. During her interview, Dena was praying. She said, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord." She was also humming church hymns. It's so messed up. As for Margaret, it was too late to save her. Not only were both of her arms completely severed at the shoulder, but Margaret also had over 50 wounds on her face.
That's somewhat of a horror story, man.
These serial killers got caught because of stupid mistakes they made. And I cover all sorts of true crime and spooky stuff here, so make sure you follow along. Dennis Rader was a prolific serial killer in Kansas from 1974 to 1991. He was called BTK, which stood for bind, torture, kill, because that's what he liked to do. But he also liked to taunt the police. He would send the police letters signed BTK, which could not be traced back to his real identity. So in the early 2000s, he had been dormant for over 10 years, but he still liked to taunt the police. And the early 2000s also brought new technology for communicating. So BTK, being the mad genius he was, wrote a letter to police asking if he sent them a floppy disk, would they be able to trace it back to him? And the police answered this letter basically saying, no, we totally can't do that. So BTK sends the police a floppy disk, and there's metadata on this floppy disk that says the last edit was done by someone named Dennis at Christ Lutheran Church. And then a 10-second Google search showed police that Dennis Rader was the president of the council at Christ Lutheran Church. Afterwards, the police basically came out and said that if Dennis had just kept his mouth shut and kept murdering, they probably would have never caught him. Let me know if you want more of these, because there's some other idiots out there.
He was doing it for 10 years. New technology gets introduced. He tried to taunt them again, man. I never got that concept. You do like something that horrific and then you just want to taunt people for it. They basically lied, Cap saying, no, we can't track you, knowing that they could, and that led to his downfall. Hubris. I wonder how many other freaking people got caught because of that.
I wanted to kill my mother since I was 8 years old, and I'm not proud of that. A month later, I'm up living with my grandparents in the mountains, and 10 months later, I murdered them. It made it worse to be on top of a mountain. I was literally on top of a mountain when it happened. And I sensed everybody in the world just stopping what they were doing, turning around, saw what I did, and are coming to get me. And I knew I was paranoid at that moment. I knew anybody that came up there and gave me a funny look or a fishy eye or quizzical look, I'd have blown their brains out thinking they were coming to get me. And if it had been in a city, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15. I would have killed until they gunned me down. I wouldn't have been able to reason my way out of it. I was scared to death, and I was violent. I felt my back hit that wall. I was the rabbit that always ran, that always backed away, always burned his bridges. Suddenly there weren't any more, and my back hit that wall, and I came out screaming and kicking and shooting.
That was really dark.
Now, a lot of people have been tagging me in this video, so I'm here to explain the backstory to this whole thing. This is the case of Lauren McCluskey. Now, the girl you see in this video was a 21-year-old college student in Utah. On October 22nd, 2018 at 9:55 p.m., she was found dead in her dormitory. She was shot 7 times. That afternoon, her ex-boyfriend waited for her outside her dormitory for had scholarships to choose from. Like and follow for more.
So what happened? Was it... That's not horrifying. at the Appalachian Mountains.
The woman was not dead. Miraculously, she survived just unimaginable. Her name is Charla Nash. Charla almost always covers her face with a hat and scarf. She wears it, she says, because she doesn't want to scare people.
Carla Nash. To go on to that story. Says she doesn't want to scare people. What happened? Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. You guys, make sure you comment on the video down below. Hit that post notification bell, man, to always get notified when I upload my next video. You guys are going to catch you in the next video, Seekers. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.